everyone. Welcome to DelVal Tea Talks, where we spill the tea on what's hot at DelVal. I'm your producer, Nina Weiland, and today we are going to be talking about how Delaware Valley University provides opportunities for students looking to pursue a career in the animal field.
We're joined with Owen. So Owen, want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your kind of experience in the animal field and what you're passionate about.
Hi, my name's Owen Klessel. I'm a sophomore conservation and wildlife major here. I've been working in the animal field pretty much since about junior year of high school. I'm an active volunteer at Elmwood Park Zoo, and most of my experience actually comes from my YouTube channel where I teach children about educational wildlife content through puppets, and that's found some fair success in the past few years.
And then we're also joined by Professor Powell. Very nice to have you here. Talk a little bit about your experience and kind of how you at DelVal with like what you do here.
Okay. So my name's Joanne Powell, and I'm the co-chair of the Department of Animal and Dairy Science here at DelVal. I've been back at DelVal for about 6 years now. I did a bunch of other stuff after graduating from Delaware Valley College. Not to say how old I am, but yes, ancient. I grew up on a farm. DelVal was really attractive to me, really because of the farms. And I find today that's why a lot of students still continue to choose DelVal, is they have that option of being kind of right in the thick of things.
We are also joined by Hannah. If you want to introduce yourself and talk a little bit, same kind of thing.
Yeah, so my name is Hannah Citron. I am a senior zoo science major here at DelVal. I have been involved in zoos and wildlife for as long as I can remember. I grew up in Northeast Philly, and I grew up going to the Philly Zoo. And then I moved up north to the Poconos, and then I grew up going to the Lehigh Valley Zoo. I was a volunteer there when I was in middle school, and then I've kind of just been moving up, doing some internships and things like that. But zoos have been a passion of mine for seriously as long as I can remember. I was like the little kid in elementary school that was like, hey, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a zookeeper. So I'm really proud to be here at DelVal with the opportunities that I've given to be able to achieve that dream. So then we are also here with Rich, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Rich Bagala. I am a senior biology major here at DelVal. I have an interesting view on the animal field. My career goal is to go into veterinary medicine, specializing in exotics, reptiles, pigs, all that kind of stuff. I also have a unique thing where I run a social media account and a business called Mr. Untamed, where I create animal education videos with various sanctuaries. I've worked with accredited zoos, wildlife rehabs, and I spread my animal experience and knowledge with my viewers and inspire people to get involved in their community and with various animal facilities. So we have a great group here, and so we're going to go through a couple questions. We're going to pass the mic around. So I think just talking about, we're at DelVal, saying what experiences have you gotten at DelVal, or what have you done that other Delaware Valley students can do regarding animal experiences? So start with you, and we'll see like kind of what you think about that and how like students can get involved.
So one of the really cool things about being a zoo science major is that I get some really, really interesting classes. So, sophomore year, I took a class called Wild Animals in Captivity. We call it WAC for short. But it's anything but WAC. It is super fun. It is a exhibit design course. And it was really, really interesting because we also get to write our own husbandry manuals and things like that. So just something unique, for sure, that not a lot of people get to experience.
Okay. So regarding like facilities on campus, what do you think about that, Professor Powell, and students getting involved?
Well, I like to try as hard as I can to get students out on farm pretty much as soon as they arrive here as freshmen. So from, first semester, freshman year, our go-to class is Intro to Animal Science, which is a class. There's a class component, lecture component, and then there's a lab component. So the laboratory component, probably 90% of those labs are on our farms. It could be at the dairy, it could be at the livestock center, maybe at our equine breeding facility. But really getting those students out to see what it's all about. And that's really important because it's different. Our student population today is different than the student population that was here when I was a student, because fewer and fewer of our students are actually coming from farm backgrounds or from backgrounds with even a lot of experience and exposure to livestock in my particular department, right? And sometimes that's a little bit of a reality check for our students. Some of our animals can be big. Most of our animals can be big. Some of them can be aggressive. Some of them are straight up jerks, right? And that, sometimes is really hard for students to kind of come to grips with. But I think it's important that we do that. Some of them are like, oh yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. But some of them, you know what, maybe I'll switch to small animal, or maybe I'll go. We seem to see a lot of students that go over into conservation and wildlife, which is cool, right? Because we need those students and those majors as well.
Regarding like on campus, the opportunity to have that. Why? So if a student like regarding like real world experiences and stuff like that, like why is it essential almost to get these experiences, especially on like farm facilities regarding their career? What is your view on that?
So I'm actually really glad you asked that. Um, I think that as employers, and I do probably have a couple of employers a week that reach out directly to me looking for students to come to work for them, either part-time or as full-time employees after graduation. They want to know that those students can do those skills, right? If a farm comes to me and said, we need to hire a calf manager for our dairy operation, they don't want to hire the student that read about that in a book. They want to know that they're hiring the student that, okay, this calf is having, a crisis. I needed to know that this person, when I hire them, can save them, right? And they know how to pass a tube to a calf to get colostrum into it. They know how to give injections, all of those things we've taught them, right? So we're getting them as prepared for the real world as we possibly can.
Yeah, and here at DelVal, we have an amazing opportunity at a smaller school with great facilities to actually get these hands-on experiences to set us apart in the job market. As some people are just getting the book, some people are at bigger schools and get minimal experience because there's too much to go around. Here at DelVal, we can get specialized experiences to then set us apart in the job market. So
That's actually it. And again, I'm glad you mentioned that, because one of the cooler parts of my job is I get to coach a couple of different teams. I'm coach of the Dairy Challenge team. I work with our NISA team, getting them ready for their contest in February. But when our students go to those contests and events, they talk to other students, and they come back to me, and usually it's on the drive home, but they'll be like, "Hey, Powell, like we were talking to students from Penn State, or we were talking with a couple of guys from Cornell. They don't even get to go to their farms. So here they have these huge livestock and dairy facilities that are beautiful, but unused by the students because their focus is on research."
yes. All right, Owen. So like what is your perspective of things? We talk more about your kind of view of social media as well in terms of utilizing DelVal, things you've done at DelVal to get animal experience.
Well, with utilizing social media at DelVal with animal experience, I found it's really, really important to just put yourself out there and get as much content out as possible, because it's not going to be best the first way through. And there's so many students on here who just love animals so much, and they'd be happy to just go in front of a camera and educate the public about animals. And I've had students where I've just gone with them and they've shown me really interesting bugs and they've made it really educational experiences. And then I've posted these videos with the full 360 DelVal media site, and I've gotten a lot of good responses saying, hey, I never knew that about centipedes before, or hey, I'm a little less scared of pill bugs now. And I just find it's really important to sort of break down these barriers that, like, oh, only the highest of people can care for these animals, and only the highest of people and most experienced people can sort of educate about these animals, when really it's up to all of us.
So like, what, in terms of like locations and things that you've worked with, like what are some places like locally or just in the area that you've worked with that you feel like other DelVal students should be taking those opportunities to work with?
Definitely all the close AZA accredited zoos. It's fairly easy to apply for a volunteership there. Most zoo websites have a sort of guide rail for how to volunteer and how to set up volunteering, and it's super important to get that experience. Plus, a lot of them actually go to DelVal. Like, the reason I'm here to begin with was because I was volunteering at the Elmwood Park Zoo, and a lot of the volunteers were from DelVal, and they recommended coming here. Rich, with Mr. Untamed, you have gained quite a good social media following at Delaware Valley University through this outlook of animal education. So I'm curious, what are some pros and cons that you found with teaching about animals through this fairly new medium?
Yeah. So I just think our generation, I think just in general, like with the job market, like we were talking about before, you have to make yourself different. Regarding vet school, very competitive. That's my passion, what I want to go into. You have to make yourself different. Maybe you're not the smartest. Maybe you don't have all the farm experience. Maybe you don't have all the vet experience. But how can you make yourself different? That was kind of my outlook when I came in to Delaware Valley University, and saying that, hey, I like to talk to people. I feel like I can relate to a lot of people in a conversation. So let me try and utilize that to get myself into animal places. So that is kind of the value of social media, and the pros of it is because I don't just use it to put content online. I use it to get myself into other facilities. So like I started off working with a pig sanctuary. I'm from East Brunswick. My family's from New York. I never really worked with farm animals before, so I didn't have a lot of experience with these things. And I struggled a lot. Even when I worked on the dairy, it definitely was an experience, and I learned a lot, like more than I ever learned, but all these new experiences these were. But instead of going like all these other students as a volunteer, saying, hey, I want to help do this, how am I supposed to level up and say, I want to work with the veterinarian? I need to add more value to myself. And that's where my use of social media and being able to edit and produce videos, I wasn't just going as a volunteer to help out do things. I was able to do marketing for them. So I was adding a new value that allowed me to now work with over 12 locations. I'm going on to my 3rd accredited zoo. So now I'm getting these experiences with these animals, working with these facilities, but I'm bringing a value that allows me to get through the door. So now the pros and cons of that. Pros is you're able to work with different facilities. You're able to use your passion and your skills that you have already that you don't even know can be applicable to the field, right, to getting new experiences. The cons of it too is there's not really cons. There honestly isn't really cons. It's just about being yourself. Like, I'm being myself. I'm doing what I love to do, and it's networking. And that's another big element, that another big pro is just networking and being able to put yourself in different rooms based off of social media.
Hannah, as a senior zoo science major who I've personally worked with before and can tell has a fair bit of experience at zoos, how did you find yourself getting involved with them, and how has Delaware Valley University assisted in that manner?
Yeah, so when I was a wee little lad, I actually attended a couple of zoo camps with the Lehigh Valley Zoo. One of them was a junior zookeeper camp, and we actually slept over at the zoo. It was a really, really great time. Continued my passion from there. When I was in middle school, my mom actually brought up the idea of, hey, I think you might be able to volunteer there. So she helped me. I went through their website, and I volunteered for the summer at the Lehigh Valley Zoo. And then from there, it was high school, and I was trying to find colleges. I was looking around. It was really hard to find a major that kind of fit what I wanted to do. Like, I was trying to look up like different zookeeper positions, and I was thinking, okay, so what can I actually do to get the best experience for what I want to do with my life. And my mom actually stumbled upon DelVal. She found the zoo science major. We looked through it together, and I absolutely fell in love. They say not to put all your eggs in one basket, but I did exactly that. And this was the only school I applied to, and I was absolutely honored and thrilled to have been accepted into both the actual program and the school itself. And then one of the things that really drew me in for DelVal was actually the E360 program. The zoo science major is special in that for our E360 requirements, we are required to do 2 internships, one in animal care and one in animal education, both at AZA accredited institutions. So I chose to do my first internship through Lehigh Valley Zoo. It was the summer right after sophomore year, and I did my animal care there in their barnyard and commissary internship, which was just an absolutely amazing experience. It was my first time actually being like hands-on doing zoo work like I wanted to do. And it was a challenge for me originally because I wasn't sure how I would handle like the summer and the heat because I had never done any work like that before. And I was pleasantly surprised that I was okay. And all of the experience and classes that I had gone through at DelVal really helped me prepare myself mentally for the experience. And I absolutely fell in love with it. And then that fall, I was at the Elmwood Park Zoo in their ambassador animal care internship, which was also just a wonderful experience in itself, because now not only was I getting to work with animals that I had never worked with before, but I was able to educate the public about it. So really just in general, DelVal has just gotten me or helped me find these amazing opportunities in work that I never would have been able to find before.
So I guess for other students, right? If you're here, you're a zoo science major, an animal science major, and you want to get involved with a zoo, what would be, if you had to start over, what would be your first step if you were a freshman? What would you do first to get involved with a facility like an accredited zoo?
Well, I would definitely join our AZAC institution here because it's a lot of really great networking opportunities through students in AZAC as well as through the professionals that they bring in. There are zoos that come in to talk to our AZAC chapter all the time. It's really, really awesome. Our Center for Student Professional Development office also holds a couple networking opportunities throughout the year. So going to Ignite and talking to people there, or if like just checking on the website to see like who's coming to what networking opportunity. We have our job and internship fair in March, I believe, and typically there's at least a zoo or two that come to that. But if not doing any of those, just looking around at the zoos in the area, checking their websites, seeing what's available, just general networking, like we've been saying like all throughout today. Networking really, really gets you places, and just being able to put your foot in the door and talk to people and say, hey, I'm here and I'm really interested. That's like the best thing to do.
Okay. So Professor Powell, in terms of, so not only you spoke about working with facilities on campus, right? I know my experience with things, following up and like kind of things aren't going to be given to you, you know, that first email isn't going to go through. And that's kind of when I go into sending an email to a facility I'm working with, I say, okay, they're probably going to respond by the 4th or 5th, or once I get an intro email. What is your perspective of what students should be doing when they're looking to work with outside farm locations?
I think that it's important, kind of stepping back to those networks. One of the really cool things about DelVal, and I think it's sometimes a little bit overlooked, is that we do have this incredible network of alums. They're literally everywhere. I just was a delegate at New Jersey Farm Bureau Convention, and like at one table, there were 5 of us out of 6 people. And then as the convention was kind of winding down, this gentleman who was from another county was sitting behind me. He goes, what do you teach at DelVal? And so I told him, and he goes, oh, I graduated from there in 2009 with a degree in secondary education, you know, ag education, whatever it was. And I laughed, right? Those folks are really welcoming of our students, and we're really very fortunate. So I would say build that network, talk to others, even your peers. right? Because everybody knows somebody. And, my son is a junior here, and he gets a lot of opportunities because he likes to talk, right? And so he'll go and he'll introduce himself, and next thing you know, he's like, oh, well, they said I could go, do whatever with them. But it goes back to, DelVal is really a family, and it's multi-generational, right? Because the folks that graduated back when I did in 1989, they're now in the position where they're the hiring people. Where are they going to go? They're going to come here because they know that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. So I guess another question is, so we have a great staff, like you said here, and we're a family. How do you feel like students utilize like yourself and other staff members? If not, if so, also how can they utilize you, and how could they come to you? Like what is the right way to approach professors for help with these kinds of things?
So it's funny. I have some students that seem to constantly be in my office for input and guidance, and then others that I'm like, oh, you're a student. Like I don't even know them, and they're seniors, and that's kind of funny, because we are a small community. Our doors are literally always open. Students can always email. They can call, but I actually rarely answer my phone because I just don't. And but stop by, and that is kind of universal. At least within our department, we're all really approachable, I think. And but it's important. Like we can't find every student that is going to need our assistance. It's really important that they come to us.
Yeah. I mean, like, just in my perspective of things, I know that utilizing staff members here, like, it is something that people don't do. Like, I know, like, in biology, Professor Downs, Dr. Downs, he helped me, and I'm going to be working with the academy, doing videos for them, just utilizing these members, like, talking to Professor Hoyt, and people that, like, I'm not even in, like, certain areas or certain departments, even the business department here, going and asking them, because they are professionals and they could help you, and people are specialists. And it's like just not waiting and saying, hey, there are people here, we have connections here, and saying, how can you help? Like, can you help me? And if they say no, they say no, they can't help you. But like even like with like research opportunities and stuff like that, just kind of like you said, just like networking and stopping by.
Yeah, for sure. Even yesterday, I'll just use this as a really quick example. My Dairy Challenge team was doing a fundraiser, and they had to bake cookies. So Laura Herbst from Food Science graciously allowed them into her kitchen, which was a bold move, really, but worked out okay. But while she's in there, she starts talking to my dairy kids about a class that she's offering in the fall on food processing, and a big part of that course is going to focus on dairy processing, right? And here she is going, really, take the class. We'd love to have you. And some of my dairy students were really excited by that because they are looking maybe to return to a home farm and consider on-farm processing, or they're working with a farm that's already doing that, and the opportunity for them to kind of get some extra education on that was really exciting for them. She was really excited that she's going to have these students, but we all have relationships as faculty with one another, and Laura and I happen to be great friends, right? But that's the kind of thing, because you might come to me with something about a course, or you need 3 more credits in order to graduate, whatever it happens to be. And I could, sit back and say, hey, you know what? They're offering this food processing class. You could take that and I'll course sub it for something else. I think that's the other thing that students don't always recognize. It says in black and white, these are the courses that you have to take in our system. But there are other courses in other departments that we may know about that would still satisfy that same requirement.
Yeah.
And we're more than happy to work with you to satisfy those what the self-service is saying you have to take.
So, this is for anyone. So how do you think that students, like specifically, have power over, shaping public understanding through animal education rather than just like zookeepers or zoos or like just having that perspective?
Just from a business standpoint too, in general, I believe relatability is the biggest thing. And like kind of my view on my content is I want anybody to be able to watch my video. I don't want to use high level words. I don't want anybody to be discouraged by it. So I just think being able to relate to the masses to spread a message of caring. And I think just sparking the interest, because now social media, people just watch and they're scrolling. If you could ignite a little bit of passion and interest in people, they're more willing to turn their head and be more involved, especially for the younger generations, of kind of sparking that interest of, hey, I want to get involved with this.
Like Rich was saying, with igniting these passions, it's really important that with these videos and with the content that a student puts out, that it's something that they are, in fact, passionate themselves about. No one wants to watch a video where it's like you're just going through the motions. If you have that energy and you have that passion and that desire to teach and the desire to use social media as a force for good and a force to better society, then everyone in the world who sees your videos is going to just be inspired and their day will get a little better. From my perspective personally, I have found that I tried a little bit doing more of this is how soil conservation works, this is how water conservation works. And it didn't go through as well, but the second I started talking about giant squid, second I started talking about orangutan self-medication, the second I started talking about harbor seals, the passion went through and I found those videos not only better performed, but more importantly, more people learned from them, more people were excited about them. I've had people who have come up to me who have recognized my puppets when I'm doing a video, and they'll say yeah, I learned that fact you were talking about African elephants, and now I love sharing that with my students. Or, hey, I watched that video you did on flying squirrels, and now we show that in our class every now and then. So it's really just about having that passion, and it's just a fun thing. You want to make the fun thing fun.
So, going off of all that you guys just talked about, which was great, how can a student who's starting off, a student that is really interested in influencing through social media, how can they get started?
I would say just post. You're not going to have all the answers immediately. It took me a good 50 YouTube videos before I figured out how to really do it and how to do it good, for lack of a better term. And yeah, just start off posting, see what works, see what doesn't, check your analytics, see what people watch and what people don't. And it's really all about self-analyzation, but not playing to the algorithm too much, because you still want to get your conservation message. At least for me, you want to get the conservation message, or for Rich, you want to get that animal education message out there. So it's sort of finding that balance between making sure the video can be seen by people without losing the content that it's providing.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a question I do get a lot. It's because it didn't happen overnight where I was just able to go on camera with my face all in there and talk with confidence to people. And that was a kind of a hard thing in the beginning. But, I came here, I'm paying money to be here, I'm investing in myself, and I want to put myself in the best opportunity to get to where I want to be. People aren't going to, at least people are going to want to drag you down eventually. But, who really cares? You're being yourself. You're doing what you can do to put yourself in the best position. And, the haters are going to hate. But it's you just got to do what you can do and not be afraid of people who are going to judge you. Because, if you surround yourself with good people, people that are driven and motivated, here at DelVal, the results are going to come. And you just have to be able to put yourself out there. It's just with anything. If you're going to, put time into studying for an exam, if you're going to spend money on something, you're putting what you have out there, and you just got to be willing to do that. And if you lose, my content has completely evolved over time. We went from no editing, we went from few words coming up, we went from no words, just post, and I just change something every single time and see what people like and just have fun with it. and it's just about being myself and kind of just the journey that I'm on and just kind of evolving with what's going on.
So, just to wrap up, so you all have experience in the animal field through whether it's social media or working at zoos or just visiting places or being a professor. So, just like in general, like how has that influenced your future, and like how has that influenced where you're going next?
This has influenced my future by sort of solidifying what I like to do. Animal fields and conservation fields and zoo fields, they're very science heavy. It's a lot of reading, it's a lot of writing, it's a lot of research, and it can seem daunting, but sort of having this spin of social media on it, finding this passion, it sort of has just solidified that this is what I want to do with my life. This is how I want to contribute. This is what I want my legacy to be.
Animal experience is vital to separating yourself in the job market. If we're talking about vet school, if we're talking about employment at facilities, getting out, especially at DelVal, with all these alumni and connections we have, going out there and working with these places to separate yourself is important. If you go to my account, Mr.Untamed on Instagram, and you look at the places I've worked with, just sending them a simple message and saying, hey, I'm a student at DelVal, I want to get involved. That's the first step.
So for me, I think it's, I was really fortunate. I was born on a farm. I'm a farm kid through and through. What I like to do is help students find their path and kind of reassure them that not everyone's path is going to be the same. And that's okay, because they'll come in and they'll say, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. And I'll laugh and I'll say, me either, right? But I think that, being able to get experiences here at DelVal, find your way. Eventually, when I talk to students, it goes from that feeling of apprehension to one of excitement because they see where they're going.
I would say that with the experiences that I've done, I mean, honestly, just going back to what Owen has said, it's solidified that this is just my passion and I absolutely love doing this. When, like I mentioned before, when I was a little kid, all I wanted to do was be a zookeeper. But that was like really uncommon for people in my area. For like going through classes, like all through high school, I don't think I knew anyone that ever wanted to do anything anywhere near like that. I didn't know anyone that wanted to be a vet, like graduating high school. I didn't know anyone that wanted to work with animals. It was just me. So I never really understood how many more people there are that are like me, that want to do the things that I also like doing, that are also passionate about animals and conservation and just making welfare and all of that just so much better. So the experiences that I've had and being here at DelVal has shown me that I'm also not alone in my passion, in knowing my place and knowing what I want to do.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of DelVal Tea Talks. I'm your producer, Nina Weiland, and don't forget to tune in next time